course.
All right.
Jim.
Thank you very much. Well, so Arnie's an accomplished speaker, so we know he does a good job. So we'll start with that as our baseline. Now, the question I think that's before us today is, if Arnie was to give the speech for a third time, how could he give this speech and make it a better speech than it was today? Well, okay, that's good. There's always room to improve, so let's talk about this. So it's interesting. So how did Arnie start his speech today? He came into the room, right? So he came right up. He was, I'm sitting there, getting right up in my face, which I thought was actually pretty effective because I wasn't sort of expecting him to do that. So it was a bit of an attention grabber, and I thought that was a good way to start the speech. Because if you weren't trying to pay attention to him, and all of a sudden it wasn't possible because he was literally right there. So you sort of had to pay attention. So good job on that one. And then Arnie started to give his speech on change, which is a great topic. I mean, you can look at change in 1,000 different ways and stuff like that. So I thought that was very good. So I was watching Arnie just trying to figure out sort of how his speech was affecting me. And something interesting that I picked up on was how Arnie was giving his speech. It's interesting because Arnie was actually rotating left to right. So he'd make eye contact over here, and then he'd switch over here and make eye contact over here, and then he'd make eye contact over here, and then he'd come back over. So there was this back and forth sort of motion. And I was thinking, wow, it's not that big of a deal, but that's a little distracting. So how could Arnie have done that better? Which is an interesting question. So my personal suggestion would be, while you're giving your speech, find somebody, look at them, and make a point, okay? And then perhaps move to the person next to them. Make your point, and you'll eventually work through the room, but you'll get rid of that sort of back and forth motion that I was seeing. It's good because you're making eye contact with everybody, so full props on that. The problem was you're just sort of alternating between left and right, so that was just what that was. So another part of Arnie's speech was hand gestures. Now he had some hand gestures in the speech and stuff like that. He actually stood with his hands behind his back, but we'll have somebody else talk about that. But I thought, when you're having a speech on change, I think hand gestures could be a really big part of that speech. In part because change is something that's large, right? And you can also talk about people not wanting change or avoiding change. You can even turn your body or something, so you can do a whole shebang on that one. But I think that it opens itself up to using a great deal of hand gestures. There were some hand gestures, so there's no problems with that whatsoever. I just felt that it was a speech that was ripe for having more. Another interesting part about Arnie's speech is he pretty much stood here and gave a speech. And I was thinking, wow, so that was fine and stuff like that. But there was different parts to his speech. And I felt that he had arguably this whole area up here that he could have used. So he could have started here and said, hey, people don't really like changes and stuff like that. Could have moved here and, hey, we fear change, but we can't really stop change, and change comes on. And over here, he could probably reach the conclusion of the speech, where he says, hey, change is coming. You basically got to deal with it. So it's just it's a resource that's available to you. And I know when we put together our speech, we're thinking about our words, word 1, word 2, word 3. We don't necessarily think about, hey, where am I going to stand and say that? But it's an option as you go forward. And I think as we see you move, mentally we understand chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and allows us to understand that you're moving to the next part of your speech. So overall, very, very good speech. I enjoyed it very much. A couple options for it next time you do.
Okay, so now please take an opportunity to vote for the Better Of the Two Evaluators.